Yes, people, welcome to LFC Red Forever channel. So today we're going to be doing a live preview, Brighton versus Liverpool. It's going to be a nervous game. It's going to be like an intense game. I'm already afraid of Brighton, but I've got a few people with me. Everybody knows Mr. Ryan. What's going on, bro? Introduce
Hello,
yourself.
I'm wearing a specific cap for a specific reason today. Yeah, I think we'll all gather what that is.
And everybody knows Alid has been on these shows before in the past. What's going on, Alid? You all right, bro?
Yeah, big up Fozzie, big up Ryan. Yeah, man, brilliant wearing the cap, mate. Got to rate that. Fair play. But, nah, thank you for having me on, Fozzie, and it's a pleasure having being on the show with you again, man.
100%, brother. You're always welcome, you know that. And we've got a new member of the team, Mr. Harley. What's going on, bro?
Thank you very much for having me on. What's happening, people? My camera's not working, so you'll have to deal with that beautiful Republic of Liverpool photo for
It's better looking at that than looking at you, H.
I am a beautiful man, I'll have you know. I am a beautiful man with a chiseled jawline. I don't quite have your beard, but everything else, mate.
So we're gonna start with obviously Klopp's press conference today. I don't know if you guys or listen to what he was saying, so we're gonna discuss that. So let's do this, people. Yeah, so obviously, Jurgen Klopp talked about the transfers and what's next for Liverpool, and obviously the Brighton game as well. So, what did you make out of that, Ryan? Like when he was talking today?
I think first of all, let's not all get drawn up on his comments about transfers and things like that. You know, what managers say and do in the public and say and do behind the scenes are obviously two completely different things. One thing you can tend to read from press conferences, though, is body language. And I don't know about you boys, but his body language feels like it's progressively getting worse since we've come back from the World Cup. Yeah. Obviously, listen, when your football team isn't doing well on the football pitch and when you're losing and you're drawing games, of course your body language is going to go down. Yeah. But whenever that topic comes up now about midfielders, or ever that topic comes up about spending money, he's so much like tetchier and bitier than he was before the World Cup. Yeah. And obviously, we discussed on the last show, Foz, that I think before the World Cup, so obviously it was November, there was talk of like there's going to be some investment for January, you know, whether that's a new minor investment or new takeover, whatever it was. The way that he was talking in press conferences, like saying things like, you know, we've not always been able to buy ready-made players, but sometimes you need to, you know, sort of dropping little subtle hints of like it could be coming. And then he's come back since the World Cup and things have just changed. And yeah, for me, this was the press conference that's been the worst for body language this season. And the way he was biting at the reporters, and he's like, you know, why are you coming on here and asking the money question again? It's like, well, everyone's asking the money question because we need to spend some money. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, it's a bit of a mick take really when he gets angry and gets touchy, but there's obviously a reason behind it, isn't there?
Yeah. Turab, what's going on? You all right, bro? Welcome to the channel, bro. Man. You're good,
what's
yeah?
Sorry, yeah, just last minute stuff. You know how it goes sometimes. Apologies.
No worries, bro. Harley, so what do you think of what Klopp said in the press conference, bro, today?
I agree with a lot of what Ryan said about what a manager says in front of a conference and what he does behind the scenes, two completely different things. He can't turn around and go, well, the midfield's crap, it's not good enough. Throw all his players under the bus. FSG are a bunch of shit houses who need to give me more money. Because, listen, put it to you in this context. If I went into my work and I said to my boss, you don't give me enough money, you're a shit house, you're this, you're that, I get the 9-10 jack, I'd be out the door. Do you know what I mean? And so I understand that he has to keep the owners on side. He has to not throw his players under the bus. He has to work around journalists as well. Journalists can be very, very sneaky. You can tell there's a frustration there with him, can't you, though, about how he doesn't have the freedom to spend as much as City, Newcastle, and he's probably a little bit annoyed at being asked the same question over and over again while there's nothing he can really do about it. So I see where the frustration's coming from with him. I do. And I think people who are blaming Klopp and turning around to him and saying he's not done a good enough job. He can't just, as I say, he can't just splash the money wherever he wants to. And if he does, he has to make sure it's the right player. This isn't Manchester City where you can spend 50 million on a left back who goes to call for rape and can't defend, and then ends up, he's not very good. Let's just spend 50 million on another one.
So, Alid, what do you think of Klopp's press conference today, mate?
No, I echo it. I've seen a lot of the reaction as well in regards to the body language. So, yeah, it wasn't great. I mean, obviously you can't throw the players under the bus, but I think it's more frustration than anything, given the current situation. The implications if we don't, obviously, I think he knows as well how crucial it is. And if he isn't getting backed, he obviously knows, with the media being as sneaky as they are, he cannot throw their FSG under the bus as well, because, it just increases the bad dynamic that's already potentially there. So, to be honest with you, it's not good. As a Liverpool fan, it is draining to watch Liverpool at the moment. Hopefully we can do it against Brighton, which will probably give us a lot of confidence considering how decent outfit Brighton are. But in regards to the press conference, I was like, much to what Harley and Ryan said, I was a bit deflected after what I've seen, really.
But do you think like he's playing mind games or something like that? Maybe he's gonna sign some players. Like, I know he said he's defeated with signing players because we haven't got the finance power, obviously, and he mentioned Man City and teams like that. But sometimes that could be a mind games, and he might sign someone. But I've considered it, but sometimes they surprise us, like the Gakpo signing. Nobody expected that at the blue, did they? Maybe they have been watching something along those lines, and then they're gonna get him eventually. Maybe do you think like that? Maybe that's what he's doing, like, so we don't share our stuff publicly, if you know what I mean, guys.
Yeah, no, potentially. I think from a business perspective, Liverpool won't want to go public about certain things because they know that obviously if word gets around that Klopp openly says that he's looking for a midfielder, then you start to see a situation where midfielders market value increases, but to try and get as most money. So Jurgen Klopp has to act in a professional way, and I think there is potentiality that he's probably utilizing mind games as a tactic to try and get get an upper hand. But you never know. Liverpool always have this decisive approach in transfers where they go when no one's expecting it, and Liverpool could well do that very soon. But to be honest with you, I think I can't see us doing it, and I think there's a part of me that thinks that Jurgen Klopp knows it as well. And I think I think the likelihood is he'll have to wait until the summer. But then again, you look at the language he's used in the press conference. He says he doesn't think so. He's not being really definitive, so he's not ruling it out either way. Either way, I could be over speculating, but that's the way I see it.
Nice one, Alid. What about you, Tarab? Like, what do you think of the press conference today, bro? Like, he did concede there's no players coming in, and like he's probably waiting for the injury players to come back as well. He did say that too.
I don't know anymore.
I
don't. Not to sound defeatist, but that was hard to watch. And I've been a bit critical of Klopp, but that I could feel the pain. I could feel it, and sometimes I feel like he should just not lash out, but just kind of point fingers, because there's only so much mental stress a man can take, and I feel like he's got a lot on his plate. Where I feel like there was a plan in place, and then injuries and newness and suspension this, and it's been frustrating, and then midfielders get wiped out, Kanate gets injured, and he's just having to juggle with a lot. For me, watching that hurt, but I don't know what to make of it. I don't know whether this is mind games, and if that is the case, then Klopp then turns back into a hypocrite where he says he has no money, and then we splash. It's just confusing sometimes, the message that comes out of Klopp, to say we don't have money, and then when Gakpo comes, he's very good at shifting the agenda. Good, only top managers know how to do that, and I feel like he's one of them. But sometimes top managers, we've seen rants from the past, like Ferguson, Mourinho, Wenger, they always snap at random stages where you don't suspect. So I don't feel like it was wise, but sometimes emotions get the better of you. I think he was just caught off guard, and I don't think it's the right thing to be speaking about on what I think already is going to be a tough game at Brighton. And hopefully,
I think,
if you know,
sorry, Troy, I was going to say, I think he knows that as well, doesn't he? I think you could see coming into that press conference, he knows we're completely up against it. He's had another injury put on his plate. He's got all this stress, and it's like, it's a Friday, 11:30 before the game, Brighton away, where 3 points is going to be hard, and he's got to walk into this presser and face the same questions. He's probably thinking, like, I cannot be arsed there. You won't blame him.
Yeah, exactly. But
it's hard to watch what we're seeing, guys. You know, I mean, in regards to Liverpool Football Club, and it's years of like not signing players in that's caught up with us. You know, like sometimes you get away with things, and then eventually it catches up with you. That's what's happened to us. That's what when I watch Liverpool now, I don't go to the extent I have to like criticize the players, because it ain't the players' fault if you haven't refreshed the team. You know what I mean? And that's how I see it. Because when we go on social media, all we see is the players getting a bollocking. You know, they're not good enough. Henderson's the worst captain, but he's won everything in the game in club football. So how's he the worst captain? You know what I mean? And then you get people criticizing Fabinho, etc. But like, if you haven't got the manpower, and especially players that's competing for your positions just to like get your game up, this is what you're gonna get. You know what I mean? This is what you're gonna get. You're not gonna get any further than this. And it's hard to persuade players that's won everything and finished second in a couple of occasions to City to keep doing the same thing again and again.
In the way that we have.
Yeah, it's hurtful, man. If you play football, that's hurtful, guys. Sorry, go on to Rob. What are you saying?
No. I'm just agreeing with you to keep finishing second in the manner that we have last game or last kick or last. Do you know what I mean? Yeah,
it's hard.
They've done well. They've done well to keep going this long. Do you know what I mean? Like we've seen teams in the past with Man United, Man City, where they've won the Premier League, and it's like the following season they stink because it's like, oh, we're done now.
Yeah,
you'd argue there's probably nothing worse than finishing second by a point and then having to try and find the mental strength to go again, winning it and finding the mental strength to go again. If you're a natural winner, you'll do it. But being a natural winner and then losing it by a point twice and then being like, oh my God, we have to go again. There's only so many times a person can go again, isn't there?
Yeah, exactly, man.
Yeah.
Doug says, good evening, guys. Please go and subscribe if you're watching this, people, and everyone on here. Doug is a great content creator as well. So we're going to move on to the game, obviously. The Brighton game. Well, how do we, like Ryan said, how do we stop Brighton? Harley, you go first, bro.
Okay. How do we stop them? Well, it's a case of, he was talking, if you listen to Klopp's press conference outside of kind of what the headlines were pointing out, where he was talking about, kind of the money side of things and the transfer market. You hear him talk really interestingly, should I say, about how they've managed to actually increase the possession numbers since the Zerbi came in compared to Potter leaving. I'm a massive fan of Graham Potter, by the way, but let's not talk about Chelsea. The Zerbi has replaced him fantastically, and they are a very technical, very intense, high pressing, hard working team, and they're in a very good moment. I have a bad feeling that they could do us in midfield basically, and that will be where we struggle the most. Trossard missing out could be big for us, but then again, I thought the same when Ivan
Toney loves a game against us.
Yeah, then again, I said the same. Ivan Toney not playing against us would be great for us, and look what Vissa done. So it's not, it doesn't always work out like that, but I think we have to we'll have to really be on our game to go to Brighton away. Like, we've never lost at the Amex, and I know history doesn't really mean anything, but we've never lost there. I think a big part of basically stopping this midfield is Caicedo and McAllister. They're the two big players that we have to kind of look to try and stop. And I have a bad feeling Caicedo's weight rate and technical ability combined with McAllister's ball progression, I just I worry a little bit.
Same goes for you, Elliot. What do you think of the game tomorrow? Tomorrow, yeah. afternoon.
Yeah, well, I think to get a team that bases their game off, intense football is, play the same way. Brighton are a very similar team in that regard, in that they have a intense press. Counter press is very good, and they can create chaos and they can pull the trigger at any given moment. And those are teams where you have to really look out for. They're not in the position that they are in the league by fluke. I think what does come as a bit of optimism from our side is that obviously I think Brighton were notoriously known for picking up a good away record last season. Their home record wasn't so good. That means to compound that, obviously having a decent record down there will obviously give us I say the confidence, but we definitely need some form of boost to go again. And I think in order to stop Brighton, you have to stop. You'd have to prevent getting overrun in that midfield. If Liverpool get overrun, then the midfield wins the game. And I think if Brighton, like Casado, McAllister, even Pascal Gross, if they're on it, then Liverpool may not stand a chance. So it's not great, but we give it a go.
Yeah, the only 1 point, as you can see in the table behind us, same amount of games. What do you think, Ryan, mate? Can we stop them?
I think, you can win any game of football. Regardless of who you are and who you're up against, you can win a game of football. It's 11v11. It's it's men versus men, women v women, whatever. I was having a little look last night at Brighton. So since the new managers came in, predominantly played 4-2-3-1 with Caicedo and Pascal Gross holding. Their front four is obviously where their danger lies. Like you say, McAllister, who's now a World Cup winner, full of confidence. Matoma, who they brought in, looks like he's another one that they've just found out of nowhere, who's an absolute baller. Solly Marsh isn't in bad form at all either. So for me, midfield onwards, they probably hold the advantage over us, and there's nothing you can do about that right now. We're low on confidence, they're high on confidence. They've got slightly better midfielders than what we're able to deploy at the moment. So, so that's the situation. For me, my point probably brings us on to our next conversation as well, is I think we need to change shape. I think we need to get at them from the front. Their weaker ball players are their two centre-halves and their full-backs.
Yeah.
So we may have to go old school Liverpool, like Klopp first full season Liverpool.
Ryan, are you willing to go like boring football to get results now? Are you willing to do that?
Oh, mate, I'll take the striker scoring 1 goal a game with his knob, and we keep a clean sheet if it means we get top 4. Do you know, I understand that you need to entertain, and I appreciate that, and we'll get other chances to do that. But this season, from now on, if we win every game 5-4 by 5 own goals, I could not give a shit as long as we're playing Champions League football next season. For me, this season's already a write-off in the sense of my feelings of enjoyment watching us. So I see this season now as a job, as a mission. As a here is our objective. What are we going to do to achieve it? Sack entertainment, sack free flowing football. If we need to go 4-2-4 and press like animals, and then play 4-2-3-1 and set up with that long ball that we used to do, and then counter press on the long ball. So that's what we've got to do. That's what we've got to do, man.
The dugout says that we need that one result to kickstart our season, but I'm not confident for tomorrow like everybody else. I hope we see Gakpo down the middle tomorrow, or we see Gakpo, Salah, and Doak. Why not change it up? That's what I said to you before. Ryan, like, why don't we shock opponents? Why don't we do a different formation they didn't prepare for? Maybe we'll be better off doing it that way. Because if you do the same thing every single time, you're gonna get the same kind of defending, the same kind of attacks. It's gonna be the same, which we don't get results on eventually during the game. So that's what I said. Like, let's shock opponents, let's do something else, and surprise opponents at the same time.
I think when you've got a team that's so low on confidence and underperforming and have got clear and obvious weaknesses, you tend to get a lot of these top managers will go one of two ways. They'll either be so stubborn because they're like, right, well, no, we can't change it. It's already bad enough as it is. The last thing I need to do is start throwing different systems and different formations on players. Or they go the other end and they start, as we've seen with like relegation fighting managers down the years, they start throwing 3 out of the backs and 5 at the back and 40 midfields and stuff like that. So as far as surprising and changing, like some fans are asking for 3 at the back and stuff like that, I don't think that's the answer. However, when you've got clear and obvious midfield deficiencies, continuing to have 3 of them on the pitch without any protection, it is literally the definition of insanity at this point, isn't it?
Yeah, bro. Yeah. So what do you think, Torab? It goes to you, mate. About Brighton, mate. How do we stop them? I know we're all worried.
Worried is one thing. I am worried, but do I think we don't have the ability to just have a scrappy game, and because we've got good attackers, take our chances? That could happen as well. I mean, as good as Brighton are, they may be keeping the ball better than what they were under Potter, but they still have the problem of not being able to finish their dinner up top.
I was just about to come to mention that actually.
Yeah, so they've not had that clinical striker since like Glenn Murray days. In my opinion, he's the only striker that stands out. Obviously, they had the Mopes and stuff, but he wasn't great. But at the same time, football works in funny ways where it could be tomorrow where they decide to hit them in, or their keeper decides to have a worldie yesterday, or we need to rely on Alisson having a worldie. Honestly, it could be an anything game where.
I mean, to be fair, they've scored 19 goals since getting beat by Arsenal. First game back after the World Cup.
And
so they are in decent goal scoring form.
In the last game, they scored 4. So, we need to be really on it. I'm just worried about that midfield, of course, because I see Caicedo, however you want to pronounce his name, just rings around us with Marsh and whoever else they have available. So I go to 4-2-3-1, but I think he's going to be. I would love to think he would throw on a surprise, but I don't think he will.
I see it as you either, when you come up against a midfield like that, that's clearly, evidently, way more confident and better than ours at the moment. You either need to stop the source of them getting the ball, or you have to heavily outnumber and play something like a 4-4-2 diamond.
100%. Which we can do, yeah.
Yeah, maybe a diamond was on the cards until Nunes got injured.
But Ryan, what is it, like, guys? Like, what is it with Klopp? Like before the World Cup, he was starting like 2 pivot midfielders?
4-2-4.
Yeah, that's what he was doing. So why did we go back to 4-3-3, which wasn't working in the first place? You know what I mean? Which we were struggling with at the beginning of the season.
I think there's several reasons for it. I think the reason why he won't go to 4-2-3-1, though the main reason anyway, I think there's several reasons, but the main is who would you play there? Nunes isn't fit, Firmino's not fit, Jota Diaz not fit, so you've got Salah, but then beyond that, you're literally looking towards Gakpo, of course, but then you're looking at Oxlade-Chamberlain, Curtis Jones off the left wing if he's fit, maybe Harvey Elliott and Salah striker, Ben Doak right wing, and then it's just the quality isn't there in attack because of the injuries at the minute. And then you have the elements of the players having to adapt to different systems. And then, 1 week we do 4-2-3-1, 1 week we do 4-3-3, then the next it's a diamond. It's a lot to do and it can disturb the rhythm. And it's kind of, again,
I think that's it, innit, H? We're a team out of rhythm and we're trying to find rhythm, aren't we? So swapping and changing probably isn't going to help.
Exactly. It's kind of like, I think a lot of people do look at it a bit like, well, what would I do if I was on Football Manager and my team weren't playing very well? I'll change the formation, which is something that we probably all would do if we on the computer games, but it's a little bit different in real life,
That Matoma fella, that's going to be a good 1v1, him and Trent.
Yeah, that will be it.
I've got a question.
That would be
is Webster fit? Because if he's fit, then I'd worry a little bit, because he, for me, is one of the most underrated ball-playing centre-backs in the Premier League at the minute. If he's not fit, then that increases my confidence quite a bit, to be honest.
The team that's up there is the team that actually beat Everton 4-1 away. So
come on, put me on the pitch, put the 5 of us on the pitch, and then actually manage to beat Everton. This shite.
He's gonna,
I could score a hat-trick with me cock.
I'm worried about that midfield battle, guys. Honestly, I'm really worried about the midfield. That's where we're gonna lose. If we're gonna lose this game, man. And they're gonna outwork us, isn't it? They're gonna outwork us.
That's the biggest concern. Like, that's the biggest concern when you have all the technical ability in the world. If you get outrun, then there's no guarantees. And especially in the Premier League, you can win any game of football. So all Brighton really have to do is want it more than us, and we will get punished. So we have to make sure that, yes, providing certain players aren't or are available, we can all speculate. However, we need to show the right attitude and respond to the demands of a typical intense Premier League football match. So yeah, looking forward to it. But yeah.
Is that a worry for you guys in the sense of so we're talking about how do you stop Brighton, formation changes, things like that.
Yeah.
Is the worry for you though that we might just come up against a team week in, week out that simply want it more than us at the moment?
Yeah.
Yeah,
maybe.
Because we're talking about midfield signings and things like that, and of course they would help. But we mentioned before at the start, these players have had to go again after disappointment, go again. Is there a case to argue, and I don't think really anyone has properly argued it yet, are the players just simply at that point now where they can't go again? They're simply not I don't want to say not asked because that's harsh, but they're just burnt out.
I think, that's the word, burnout.
Because
if you're asking the same players to play every minute in the same way, in the same message, literally the exact same,
it becomes Groundhog Day, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's like if we went to work and we were doing the same job every day, even if it's fun and gratifying, you're going to get to a point after 5 years where you're like, fucking hell again.
That's my point. Players like Mo Salah have been playing every single minute, and sometimes they've been playing games when they're not needed. They've been running to the ground, and it's it's just again back to investment and being able to refresh, and not saying refresh the whole bloody squad, just 2 players here, 1 player there. It happens.
Yeah, evolving.
Like Fergie used to say, it's one first team 11 starting signing every single season, isn't it? Just to give everybody that little. There you go. That little.
Yeah, that's true. Would you guys take a draw?
No.
Ryan, would you take a draw tomorrow?
The football coach and manager of me says no. Because obviously you compete in every game to win, and I never want that mentality of a draw is good enough to seep into the fan base.
Yeah.
However, looking at it from a player's point of view and a manager's point of view, I think if you were to offer them a point away at Brighton with everything that's going on at the moment, and it maybe ease a little bit of pressure, I think 50% of them would probably be like, you know what, I'd take that. Because I put it to you as this way: would Twitter be as bad of a place and social media be as bad of a place Saturday night if we draw the game than if we lose the game?
Well.
I think it's still be pretty bad.
I think
it depends how we play as well, to be honest. But I think
if you play well, then
I feel like with the certain sides of social media, I still think if we don't get 3 points and 3 points convincingly, you'll still have a good section of the fan base who will be on here.
Oh yeah, you still have FSG out. Don't worry about that.
Yeah. A lot of the players get a lot of
it's
as well.
I think it's a shame that we have to use what happened? Twitter. Forget Twitter. It's honestly Twitter. I barely go on there now because it's so.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah, it's so over dramatic sometimes. But anyway, that's a different story.
Alex, what do you think, mate? Would you take a draw?
I never want to stoop so low to accept the draw. However, I think, considering the way we played against Leicester, I think yes, there was an element of relief considering how bad we played, but there was also this underlying concern that we hadn't really learned upon the deficiencies that we were seeing frequently before the World Cup. So I'd like a little bit of an ease of tension currently within the fan base, and if that is provided with a draw instead of a win. I just hope.
That's my feelings.
Yeah, I think if Liverpool win at the end of the day, but we play awful, yes, there'll be a part of me that thinks, win ugly, it's important, but it still doesn't mean the questions that Jurgen Klopp will get asked won't go away. He'll still get asked whenever I think we play Chelsea the week after. He'll still get asked, do we need a new midfielder? Will there be a new midfielder? And then it's just the same old story again and again and again. So, look, I think if Liverpool play well and were to get a draw, then if it is to get the fan base on side, then I think I would come to accept it. But I'd never. Yeah,
maybe that's a better question then to you two. Of would you take a better performance from Liverpool and signs that we're trying to fix things and a draw, or the same deficiencies again, but we get a lucky scrappy win against Brighton, similar to Leicester? Like, what would you prefer out of them two?
I'm taking the win. Sorry,
the 3 points.
Me too.
It's that desperate. I'm looking at the table now, and I'm sorry. Like, to answer the main question, would you take a draw? I'm not, because I'm looking at the table and Brentford are playing.
The table's scary.
Yeah, Brentford are playing, you know,
worrying, man.
Yeah, and Fulham. I went to the Fulham game last night against Chelsea, mate. They look good. So
Paulinho's a baller, by the way. How's he?
What did I say about Paulinho? I've got receipts where I've said Paulinho would walk into our midfield right now.
I think anyone will walk in the midfield now. I could even walk in there, but
yeah, he's a baller.
Specifically, he's so good, man. I love him.
He's
amazing.
Surely he's not at Fulham next season.
Mate, do you know what? The other day I saw a report linking Paulinho to Liverpool. I got so carried away. I found out it was fake, but that little glimmer of hope that I had. Mate,
that's the boost that every fan needs.
Would you take a draw, H?
No, I wouldn't, to be honest. If we come out with a draw, I wouldn't be thinking, I wouldn't be like fuming, do you know what I mean? But we should be going into the game with the intentions of winning. If we're looking from the point of view of the squad and the manager. However, I don't think the fan base should be going into frenzy, dropping points. But because let's be honest, if we were in a title race, we'd still be looking at this game thinking, fucking hell, these are all right. We could drop points here. Do you know what I mean? So if the problem isn't dropping points here, the problem would be if we were dropping points at home to Leeds like we have done, or Nottingham Forest away. They're the games this season that have made us think this is where we should not be dropping points. Brighton at home, another one. But Brighton away is a game. Yeah, exactly.
Or Fulham away, H.
Oh, come on.
Don't get me started.
On Arsenal away.
Or Man United away.
If you look at a game like Brighton away, Arsenal away, United away, you understand possibly dropping points there. And that'd be my mentality. If we were in a title race and we drop points in this game, that wouldn't surprise me, because every team has to drop points. But we should also be going out there to try and win. So my answer to that is, we should be trying to win as a team. But if we do drop points, then we shouldn't be too disappointed, because that's something I feel like we'd be possible to do in a title race, never mind a top 4 race, which is, let's be honest, that's where we are now, aren't we?
Yeah, the next thing...
We're in a Europa Conference.
Please.
At the current moment.
I think either way, if it was to have been a draw, say we went 2-0 down and then make it 2-2, there would be a fan base saying, why are we 2-0 down in the first place? And if we went 2-0 up and then concede 2 goals, then the fan base would still not be happy. So
you've let it slip.
I think we just got to relax, man. Just let the guy rebuild, innit? Just let him rebuild. But yeah, the next one is Gakpo. Would you guys start Gakpo in this game?
No question.
Premier League debut?
I mean, the Nunes injury, he starts now, doesn't he? Let's be honest. Like, fucking hell, if he doesn't start, who else is? You know, like...
You'll find a way to put Ox in there, I'm sure, man.
Yeah. So what do you think, mate? Should he start this game? Well, would you start him as well?
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm not fully up to date about the situations of players, but to answer the question, I would start him, because who else do we have? Do you know what I mean? Which, you know, and if you were to leave him on the bench, it wouldn't work either. So yeah, I would have to 100%.
Yeah, that's Anton. That's one of my mates. He's gonna be here on Sunday, so he says, "Hi guys, hope you're all well. You never walk alone." Thank you, Anton, man. Yeah. So, yeah. What about you, Alex? What do you think?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%. He has to start.
What do you want him to start though? Like what position? Because some people are saying he should start like as a striker instead of like a winger. But I don't want Oxlade there. I want him instead there. You know, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I would have him off the left. I would. I just think there's a lot of lot of injuries, a lot of complications on that side, and I think not only is he familiarised with that position, I think he can be at his most efficient there. I think in regards to who else starts, I'm a bit like Terrell, but I've not a clue. It keeps changing all the time, so it's just difficult for me to keep up with it. But to be fair, I would start Gakpo. I would, and I would start him on that left-hand side of Salah, and then who knows who he starts at the middle. But whether we go for the 4-3-3 or the diamond, I'm not too sure. I'm genuinely not too sure. I'd be love to hear what you.
Well, we're gonna do the formation, so we could all agree at the end anyway. What about you, Harley? What do you think, brother?
I think the question isn't does Gakpo start. The question is where Gakpo starts and what role does he play. I don't know who else would start. I think Gakpo and Salah are the two who are nailed on in that front three for me. Yeah. Then it's a question of, is Bobby Firmino fit or not? I'm not fully sure. No. I'm going to lean towards no for that one. I can't remember if Klopp said anything.
This came up today, though, isn't it? This came up today. Nunes could be.
He said Nunes is out of this game.
Nunes is out. I knew that.
And he said Bobby was originally a 10 to 14 day injury that was told by the medical team. However, on the 13th or 14th day when he was supposed to return, he felt something. And they've said they now have no idea when he's going to be back. So that means he's out for the season.
Not close or something like that.
So with that information, then he has to start, doesn't he? So then your question you're asking is, who else comes in along with Gakpo and Salah? So you're looking then and going, Ox, Elliott, and Curtis Jones are the four options you're probably really looking at. And then that's not an amazing selection of names, to be honest. It also depends on the fitness of certain players. Is Curtis Jones fit enough to be able to come in? And then it's a question of, would you play Salah central or right, or do you play Gakpo left or central? I personally think it's to be one of them games, similar to when Nunes and Bobby start together, where we'll see a lot of different rotations and interchanges of positions. Yeah. Sometimes Nunes will occupy the wide areas that he likes to occupy sometimes. Sometimes you'll still Gakpo will do the Nunes thing where he'll often hold the left wide, but he'll drift centrally, take up the left half space, look to shoot, because that's the style he likes to play anyway. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him play like a hybrid striker, false nine, left wing. Kind of interchanging with someone like an Oxlade-Chamberlain. And I personally would bring Ben Doak on for him late in the second half and just go, listen, no pressure, kid. Just go at them. Do you know what I mean? You're a 16, 17-year-old kid here. No pressure on you. Just give it your best go. If Curtis Jones is fit, I'd possibly consider featuring him off the left and moving Ox to well, no, Ox would be coming off, and then we'd be moving. I don't know. It's a difficult one. I feel like essentially what I'd be looking for would be a lot of rotations and interchanges between the front three to keep the opposition guessing and to allow Gakpo, Salah, and to do what they do best. And
just do something that will surprise the opponents, isn't it? Like something they didn't prepare for. Is that what you're saying, Hardy? Yeah. Something like
kind of without changing the system too much and the formation too much. That's where I bring my elements of surprise in. My thinking wouldn't be, let's change the shape and tactics and formation. My thinking would be, okay, so the positive of having Gakpo here and not having a Nunes or a proper central forward would be, we can use these rotations and interchanges to get Gakpo into a more central area and sometimes left half space. And you can have Salah do the same with the right and the centre. And then you've got Oxlade-Chamberlain to kind of sometimes play false nine, sometimes the left, and keep them guessing. And things like this.
True. Anton says Gakpo to start for me down the middle. Yeah, like it depends who's going to be on the left, isn't it? But Ryan, what do you think, mate?
Well, like I said before, I think to get at Brighton, you got to go 4-2-4. I think you got to try and stop them at the source from not playing out of the back and playing from there. First phase of play, and for that, for me personally, I'd have Gakpo and Salah as your two strikers. I'd throw Harvey Elliott as a right winger / right mid, and I'd throw Oxlade-Chamberlain as a left winger, left mid, and have Thiago and Fab or Thiago and Naby as sort of your pivot.
Okay. Carry on.
I just think ultimately Gakpo obviously is going to start, and like we all say, it's where. My only worry is first game in the Premier League, away from home, in a struggling side against the team in confidence. and if you play him down the middle, he's going to be playing with his back to goal. So that can be a worry. My thought process is trying to think like Klopp, though, and I feel like they're going to have no other choice but to play him down the middle, kind of thing.
Yeah,
because of his experience of playing it so recently as well in the World Cup.
Guys, so we're gonna do a formation, obviously, for the game, but the majority have to win, if you know what I mean. So I'll start with Alid. What formation are you going for this game, mate?
I think, dare I say, I'd probably go 4-3-3.
Is this what Klopp is going to pick, or what?
No, like what you want to pick, innit?
Okay.
I'd probably
A formation that will make us successful, like in this game. That's what I want to see, like, you know what I mean? Because we keep doing the same thing again and again. Yeah,
we'll have to
go on, Alid.
a 4-3-3 probably.
Okay.
Just I'm not too sure.
You don't want to get away from that, yeah?
Yeah, no, I just think I was gonna say don't fix what's not broken there, but it seems like it's already been broken. Now, to be fair, I just think having that extra man in midfield instead of the double pivot, I just don't want us getting overrun in that midfield. I really don't. And you know, the longer we have legs there, I think is the most important thing. I think in regards to that covering in front of that defence, I think it's paramount as well. So yeah, I'd go for 4-3-3. That is just my gut instinct telling me there. 4-3-3 is what I would acquire going into this game.
What about you, Ryan, my guy?
Mine, mate, 4-2-4. Again, like I said, I think you have to try and stop Brighton at the source. So for me, it would be 4-2-4, old school Klopp, really get at them.
Like double pivot, yeah. Make sure we cover those gaps at the back, yeah. Harley?
Personally, for me, I would be going for the 4-3-3. So the shape, in that sense, is the same, but there would be changes. The personnel that would be used, for me, the reason why I'm going for it is I'm just ruling out other things. Like, we know the Klopp is never going to use a 3 at the back, especially without Van Dijk being there. I personally feel as though a big issue is taking numbers out of midfield wouldn't help us, and I get being able to press higher with more forwards, but my thinking behind that is whenever we've played a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-2-4 or whatever you kind of want to identify it as this season, a key part of that has been either Bobby Firmino or Jota, who have the work rate and ability within that.
Harley, do you think like when we play Harvey Elliott in that position with a 4-3-3, like in the right side of the midfield, that's where the issues come from, because he doesn't cover that space like Henderson used to, or Wijnaldum and players like that.
Yeah, I think that can be an issue, and I feel if you're going to play Elliott in midfield, it has to be in a moment where you're bringing him on to try and push forward. I don't think he can start. For me, he's an attacking change, someone you'd look to bring on to go make the difference. He's not somebody who you would want starting in a game at 0-0 from the start, because there's a risk with that, and the risk is defensively. While I think his work rate's improving, and sometimes I watch him and think, okay, he's better than he was 6-12 months ago in this department, he's still not the complete article, and he's a 19-year-old kid, so you don't expect him to be, but he's just been thrown in the deep end too soon. But on to what I was saying about the formation, I can talk you through the different personnel I'd use, but that's probably a whole different question. And
we'll do it. We'll do it. Don't worry. We'll do it after this. After Tarab. Yeah, Tarab.
Sorry.
So carry on, Harley. Go on.
No. I was just going to say a big issue would be Firmino and Jota not being available, and that's why I would stick with a 4-3-3, as I just don't think we have the bridge between midfield and attack to sacrifice midfield numbers, and I feel like midfield numbers are going to be a vital part of competing against, because maybe we could look to outnumber Caicedo and McAllister or Gross, whoever would sit in the pivot, because sometimes McAllister does and sometimes he takes up the 10 position or the advanced 8 position, so maybe out overloads in that area could help. It's difficult.
It's just to plug those gaps in it that keeps appearing again and again, and they once they get through those gaps, they go towards the defense, and defense have issues and they score a goal. Like we got to stop that early goal. That's how I see it. Early goal has to stop.
We need midfield numbers, and we need something to connect us from midfield to attack, in my opinion. And those are the things that are missing, as well as the issue we've had all season of well, that right central midfield position, we aren't protecting that side enough, and we are conceding goals in that area also.
And we're taking away Salah's best attributes in the game as well, like basically staying up there instead of like coming back and defending for the team a lot. You know what I mean? That's what we're missing. That's what because Henderson used to cover him in that position, innit? So he didn't have to worry about defending.
And obviously the Trent Alexander-Arnold thing, I think he's been brilliant defensively since after
the
World Cup.
100%.
Henderson does have to cover for him, and you do leave him isolated and unable to do the best things he can do. If you've got Elliot kind of playing as again, I keep using Football Manager terms whenever I come on here, but he looks like a Masala, doesn't he? Elliot, kind of so high, so wide with little defensive responsibility, while Trent is tasked with bombing up the pitch. So you have that big space left, and that's why I think you need a proper midfielder there. And it's not Elliot. Just for me, is someone
he's
you
a
could
winger.
bring on in the second half.
He's a winger like /10. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's an attacking-minded midfielder in the system that we have, in my opinion. But he's not someone you'd look to be starting. He's someone you put on and go, just go and make a difference and bring a bit of impact. But defensively, he has to improve. And I'm sure he will, because again, 19 years old, he's been a winger. Klopp will develop it, and the coaching staff will develop it. But
it all comes with confidence, isn't it, Harley?
You used to watch Genie Wijnaldum videos, mate.
I was going to say Wijnaldum was my example. I was about to use Wijnaldum as when he first came, or early on in his career,
he was a
when he was
winger
playing
first, wasn't he?
Yeah, for PSV.
Left winger, yeah.
He was a winger, midfielder kind of player, and then he ended up with age turning into a box-to-box. And in the 2021 season, he was playing in the six and doing an okay job. There, when Fabinho needed to either play centre half or he was injured, like the Fabinho Henderson centre half partnership with Wijnaldum as the six, you know.
Tarab, so what do you think, mate? You're the last one.
4-3-3
to decide the formation.
4-3-3. And
you're sticking with it, yeah?
Yeah, much to Hage's point, it isn't because I want to. It's just because of what we have. That's literally the only reason. The only thing I could think of is maybe a diamond. But I feel like that's just not in our nature. Maybe he'll pick a formation that is a personnel that's versatile. So maybe you could change in games. But I think predominantly it'll be a 4-3-3, man.
Yeah, I think because it's the personnel we've got as well, isn't it? That's the only thing we can do.
Yeah, you got to work with what you have, man.
And especially what Brighton's got that in midfield, isn't it, Tarab? The Brighton midfield. If we play two pivot midfielders with one loose in the middle, they could overrun us with their pace and power.
I don't know if we're moving to personnel, but there is one guy who I hope should start, and that's Naby Keita. So,
all right, guys, we're gonna move to the personnel now. Obviously, it's near the end of the show. Obviously, the goalkeeper. Everybody knows who he is. I don't need to. I know he made a mistake against Wolverhampton.
Weaving Kelleher.
I know he made a mistake against Wolverhampton, but you know it's creeping in, isn't it? Bad performances on the pitch. Huh?
You need to tell him.
Oh yeah, Anik, yeah.
That's crazy. Anik users will get that.
I can't believe you said that, man. I swear to God. You drove me crazy. Right back, usual. Everybody agrees? Same guy as always?
Yeah.
Or you could bring Gomez in before he leaves.
Gomez is leaving.
Yeah. He's got Wolves, mate.
What?
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
He said this, but I can't find it anywhere.
I can't find it anywhere either. Well, I've not heard about it anywhere.
Fozzie knows things.
We'll see. Alid, right centre back.
Matip. I'll go for
Harley.
Yeah, it's got to be Matip for me.
Probably Matip, yeah.
Ryan, take over for a bit. Yeah, I'm just coming back. I need to go get the ball.
Yeah, go mate. Right for me. I think obviously it's Matip in it. Like it's pretty self-explanatory. How about four, isn't it, for this game?
Yeah,
it's ball carrying ability and things like that could be really helpful. I think.
Creating an extra man.
If Brighton sit off us, I know they like to press, but they're not going to be. They're a very mid-block kind of team. They're not a high-press kind of team. So you're looking at moments where they will be sitting back, and for me, Matip's ball carrying ability is something that goes unspoken when it comes to breaking down mid and low blocks. And that for me is a big part of the reason why, when we have a fully fit back four, I would probably stick with Van Dijk Matip for games against low and mid blocks.
No, he can cut the line easy, can't he? I mean, he can just drive it forward, and creating that overload could be important, like you say, against mid and low blocks. So, and I think yeah, he's he has to be in there for me.
Yeah, left side obviously Canate, because you're not going to play Joe Gomez and Mark Phillips there, are you? Whilst Canate's fit. And then a left back. Left back's an interesting one, I think, for this game, because Robbo feels like he's had the past couple of games where his level's starting to drop a little bit. The only worry is Tsimikas obviously came in against Brentford and got his chance and got hooked after 45 minutes for not being good enough. So I suppose the question is, do you let Robbo try and play himself through the struggling form, or do you give Tsimikas another chance?
Robertson.
Robertson.
I stick with Robertson personally.
Yeah.
I think for all the criticism that Robertson's had, and this isn't me shitting on Tsimikas or anything, because I love Tsimikas. I've always loved him. I was a big advocate of actually signing him when he was at Olympiacos. I looked at him and went, this guy, man. And we got him. So I've got a soft spot for him because of that and many other reasons. Greek scouting and all that. But he wasn't brilliant against Brentford. Let's have that right. And when Robertson come on, it was an improvement in them 45 minutes for me. And I didn't think he was too bad against Wolves. So, I'd stick with him. And I'm conscious of the fact that, again, he's getting to, soon enough, he'll be on the wrong side of 30, and you don't want him to end up in a situation where he runs himself into the ground. And that's why having Tsimikas as a backup is so important. But
so who's the left back? Anyone chosen the left back?
If Robertson's fit enough, then I would go for Robertson. But if maybe Klopp's thinking he's starting to, if Klopp analyses it and looks and says, well, I'd rather have Tsimikas come in because Robertson could rest, and then if he rests, he's more effective against Chelsea, then But from my pure standpoint of not using any inside information Klopp may have, I would stick with Robertson.
There's another thing as well. If depending on whether or not Henderson's in our 11, we need leaders on that pitch on Saturday. So Robertson, the voice. We need voices in this period of the season, and Robertson's one of them. And for me, I said before, when Henderson eventually leaves, I want Robertson to grab that armband. That's how much I respect him as a leader.
I don't think Van Dijk is a captain that Liverpool needs. He's a good captain, don't get me wrong, for Holland and that. But in regards to club football, it's different, man. I'd rather he just concentrates on his own game, innit? But
the answer for me is Robertson.
Alid?
Yeah, Robertson for me.
Everybody? Okay.
Yeah.
Hang on. There we go. Obviously, defensive midfielder. Harley, who do you want?
Fabinho for me. It's got to be Fabinho. For me, I think it's not been highlighted enough, the improvement that he's had since the return from the World Cup. Everyone's talking about Trent, but I think Fabinho is going a bit under the radar. And I know we had a really shocking first half of the season, but that improvement's there. And I feel like if you have a team built around him, then you get that improvement instead of him having to do the defensive job of 2-3 people. So it's got to be Fabinho for me. You stick with him, surely.
Ryan?
Yeah, I think the same. I literally echo what H says. For me, I really enjoyed Fab's sort of second half against Manchester City. So for me, I think Fab's done enough to stay in there. And again, who would you put in? Do you know what I mean?
True. Yeah, you could put Henderson there, you know what I mean, and get someone else.
Yeah, I suppose, but then we saw what happened against Leicester when we put Henderson there. So
Ali's got to shoot off in a minute, but Ali, tell us who you want. Fabinho as well?
Yeah, so I think Fabinho, I think defensively, I think his mobility was getting a bit of criticism before the World Cup, and I think since he started to defensively improve his game, and I don't think there's as much going through him. Still doesn't excuse that there is a lot still going through that back four, but I believe he can only control what he can control, and his performance is improving. But I've got to shoot, guys. It's been a pleasure, Ryan.
Big up, man.
It's been nice to meet you, pal.
Nice to meet you guys as well. And hopefully we get a few streams done in the future.
Yeah, 100%.
Definitely.
I appreciate it, guys.
See you later, Bob.
Much love. Thanks, guys. Take it a bit.
And you. Ta-ra.
Yeah, I stay Fabinho as well, guys. I've got to stick with that. Obviously, I was worried about him during the Wolverhampton game. He wasn't mobile enough for me to enjoy his abilities and all that stuff. But I'll go for Fabinho. I'll start off with the right side of the field. I'll go back to Henderson. listen, if we're gonna use a Harvey Elliott there, especially in a wide pitch like the Brighton one, it's gonna be difficult for him. It's gonna be a long day, in my opinion, guys. So I'll go for Henderson in that position. Ryan, what are you gonna go for, mate?
Again, Hendo, I thought he got a lot of sort of like criticism, obviously against Leicester.
Yeah.
But my argument was, I thought against Aston Villa we saw sort of signs. No, I'm not saying he was back, but we saw signs of him returning to that high energy.
Yeah.
So then he's done that. He's give it in that game, and it's like, right, well, now's your game off. But obviously he had to come straight back in. You know, obviously playing Leicester, we then swing him into CDM as well because of Fab's obviously child being born, and that's not his game. You know, when there's football being played behind Jordan Henderson, it becomes a struggle. When there's football being played in front of Jordan Henderson, he can see exactly what his job is to do. Yeah, I think he's brilliant at that sort of like at that defensive side of the game. Maybe not so much this season, but for me personally, I saw improvements against Aston Villa. Yeah. So yeah, I think you probably do put Henderson in there. I get the calls for Naby, but like T said before, you need leadership on the pitch as well. And my only worry with Naby is I get people that were saying let's burn him out because at the end of the day he's not our player coming in 6 months' time. However, we've still got 3 to 4 months left of the season where we need to try and squeeze every inch out of him. So I can see the gradual build up in minutes that we're still trying to give. And the likelihood is he's probably going to play against Wolves in the FA Cup midweek, isn't it? Because we're going to need at least one senior midfielder on there. No. So, yeah, for me, it'd be Henderson and then it'd be Naby in the next game to continue those building up minutes.
Yeah, let me just read Anton's. He said Oxlade message. Oxlade is just a shirt number right now. Sorry to say, but he's no longer useful. Listen, Oxlade is just he's right. It's just a pedestrian now. He's not doing what we want him to do anymore. He should be in that midfield, controlling that midfield right now. He should have been the one who's replacing Henderson on the right side, but we can't just keep waiting for him. It's time to go, isn't it? It's time to go at the end of the season. Harley, so who do you put that right side, mate?
It depends on a few factors. It does. If you had Naby Keita in front of me and you told me he's ready to go and play 90 minutes, he'd be starting, no question. Because for me, Jordan Henderson is a player where I've said this since the latter half of last season, but if you can play him every other game and he'll be quality. That was the issue with Villa. He was quality against Villa, and then you play him the next game and he looks tired, mentally and physically tired from all the years of giving his absolute best heart and soul performances on and off the pitch. I think the years have just caught up to him and he's shattered now, and you just need to limit those minutes a little bit. Problem is, we don't have the personnel to limit those minutes at the moment. So to answer the question, if Keita can play a full 90, which you probably can't, I would go for him. If not, which seems likely to be the case, it'd be maybe Henderson 45 and then Naby Keita for 45.
Yeah. Okay. What about you, Tarab?
Sorry, I missed a lot of that. Amazon deliveries and whatnot.
It's okay, bro. That right hand side midfield, who do you want there? For obviously we're playing 4-3-3. What player do you prefer in that position?
It's going to have to be. The thing is, Naby Keita is probably our best ball-playing midfielder. And for me, I've always been an advocate of the Keita out brigade. But for me, in the glimpses that he's shown in the last couple of games, I feel like in this specific game against those specific midfielders, we may need him in terms of just keeping the ball and keeping it moving, because he is very good at pressing as well. The frustrating thing is with Naby is just we just don't see on a consistent basis. And when he does, he gets an injury out of nowhere and we don't hear from him for 2-3 months. But this specific game, I would start him. If it doesn't work, Klopp has shown he can bin him at halftime and put someone else on, like the Madrid game, and I think there was one more. So I think that's the way I'd go about it, because Thiago has to start. He's our best midfielder, full stop. It's just
Yeah.
the other.
But do you guys think like we're burning him out? Like he's doing more than he should? I mean, because we bought him
100%.
for
That's a worry
luxury
of mine.
luxury seasons.
It's-
Like he's getting into tackles that he shouldn't get into now.
He's trying to do two people's tasks by himself. He's running around. This is our most injury-prone glass midfielder, and we're telling him to run through buildings for us. It's so concerning. But he's
I
doing
think if he
an
starts
amazing job.
tomorrow,
Yeah.
if he starts tomorrow, it's his 12th game in a row for us, isn't it?
Wow.
Which is just mental
And
numbers.
for me,
for
the worry is that Madrid game is coming, guys. We need him. Do you know what I mean? We need to
It's
start
true.
managing
It's true.
how we do things.
Yeah, so I've obviously for Henderson on that side as well. So majority wins Henderson on that side because of Harvey Elliott's legs, especially with that pitch being wide and long. He's gonna struggle, man. He's gonna struggle. Obviously, everybody's voting for Thiago on that on the left hand side. So we go down to the left. Who do you want, Ryan? Which one do you want?
If we're playing the 4-3-3, then I think the left will probably be Ox. Personally, I thought he did okay against Brentford. For the standard that exactly, and for the standard that we are at the moment and what we expect, I thought he did fine. He moved in off the wing better than what I was expecting him to do, and he got himself in a really good position to score his goal.
Yeah.
And one thing you will get out of Ox, and I think I hope people make more of it when his time does come with Liverpool, is regardless of the situation, the injuries, the negative press around him, the not enough minutes, there's always a work rate. There might never be the quality, but there's always a work rate out of Ox. And you can bank on that. So for me, I think he has to start on that left mid if we're playing 4-3-3.
Yeah, 100%. Tarab?
Yeah, I mean, I was leaning towards Cody, but then it's the case of the remaining two positions you're working with scraps. So that is one thing I do agree on. One thing with Ox is he does give it minimum. The minimum thing is working hard and running. He does that all the time, and that's the minimum you can ask for. And that is something I will take. And he's got,
especially the personnel we've got, we ain't got enough in that position.
Yeah, he's got a bit about him, set pieces, shot outside of the box. So yeah, why not? Just and for me, it's another shame Ox in his situation, but he's more than capable to play there on the left.
I think a good thing that we can mention about Ox, though, whilst he's been at Liverpool, is he's always had something in every season. He's never had a full season like Naby and the Van Dijk season was a full season where there was literally nothing. Ox has always had something within a season. Like last season, he scored a goal away at Crystal Palace, scored against Brentford. He's always had something, hasn't he, in a season, which is nice, considering how harsh it's been since that Roma game.
It's true. What about you, Harley, mate?
I would. So this is off the left, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I would personally, as I mentioned earlier, I said that the kind of centre forward left wing, I'd have them really interchange. So I would put Gakpo here, but that doesn't necessarily mean he'll be sticking to that, because to get the best out of him, you'd be interchanging him anyway. But I feel as though the familiarity, he isn't familiar with the squad, and you can't really go. I think it'd just confuse him and kind of stagnate his chemistry with the team if you kind of just went, oh, by the way, you're playing through the middle and not going anywhere near the left-hand side. So that's why I'd kind of have him down as the left, but I would have it in kind of me tactical style. You're going to take up a lot of central positions, while the false nine I have in mind kind of holds the width.
I'll go with the other two. I'll put Oxlade there because of the personnel we have at the moment. Obviously, if Nunes doesn't play, why don't we have Gakpo up front? He's got the height, he's got the strength, he's got the pace, he's got the shooting ability as well. So he could probably cover in that position, if you know what I mean, guys. So
I'd have him take up central positions. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that he would.
No, just for now because of the
I'm just giving my my opinion on it.
Of course. Yeah, so we'll go with Ox. The middle guys, Harley, who do you put in the middle, mate?
That's where I'd play Oxlade-Chamberlain.
Yeah?
I'd play him as that kind of false nine Firmino role. But it would be a big interchange between him and Gakpo. I did strongly consider Gakpo through the middle and Harvey Elliott off the left wing, playing in a similar way. Because I'm not saying the quality is the same necessarily, but Harvey Elliott and Phil Foden are very similar players. And my thought process would be, you see Phil Foden kind of hugging the touchline a little bit for Man City, and obviously Harvey Elliott has been put, if you've noticed, when he gets subbed on, we've played him on the left wing a few times. So my thought process was maybe he could suit that kind of Foden role, but then I kind of just thought, I prefer to have the Ox and Gakpo interchange. Elliott can be an option off the bench for that spot if we want to change what we're doing a little bit, but I don't kind of want to change the system too much.
That is actually a brilliant thing you've done there, comparison between Foden and Elliott. But what I will say is Klopp is just unfortunately not that guy that would do that. Which is
but the thing is, this formation is what we want. You know what I mean? Like, the majority wins. But you're right, Tarab. Like Klopp
I personally do want to stick with similar to what Klopp would go with, because I think I just trust him that much, and that's why I kind of went. I would have Ox and Gakpo do the kind of interchange left wing false nine kind of roles between each other. But again, if we want to bring something different on with Elliott, we have done that, and we have had him kind of come on the left wing, and he's hugged the touchline quite a bit. Because that's what he's good at. He's not the traditional kind of inside forward wing player like a Salah, Mane, Diaz that we kind of have. Instead, for me, he's a player who looks to hug the touchline a little bit, and that's probably why we thought, well, we're going to play him as a midfielder, because he doesn't really suit the kind of inside forward system we have.
You could even argue, if I'm assuming the remaining two is going to be Gakpo and Salah, they could be interchanging as well, because let's
of course,
can't play up front as well, playing off the last man, and he's got goals at Brighton. He's got a good record there. It's in my head. A couple of goals he scored. So it's let's see, man. It's a versatile front three to a certain extent.
Who do you go for? Tarab, in the middle?
Oh, up front it's Gakpo. And Salah on the right, because Cody traditionally prefers. You see a lot of this thing inside forward, so a right footer on the left on the right. Cody apparently loves the left side. He only wants to play there. That's where he played for PSV, and obviously he's played up front for Netherlands. So I wouldn't suddenly
a no-brainer.
Gakpo loves that left half space. He absolutely just loves it. That's
I think we saw it in his first game, wasn't it, against Wolves, where he took a touch outside and tried to hit it with his left. I think it was like first 5-10 minutes. I think it
was nice.
He's very two-footed. He's very two-footed, which is something I really appreciate about his game. But he just loves that left half space.
And he's quick,
creating that space for the shot, just opening up the boom. I haven't seen that for a while. I was like, oh, that was very Sturridge. If anyone
to me, like what I see of Gakpo is a competition for Salah, because Salah misses that Mane effect. When you used to look across the pitch, you used to see someone that's going to compete with him on the pitch. So now he's got someone probably that I think he's as closest to Mane that we can get, but he will get a lot of goals, and he probably create a lot of goals as well. And I think the competition for places up front is healthy, man. But it's just that middle that we're missing.
If that's the case, then so be it. Because eventually Salah's time will come, and if you've got Gakpo there already 2-3 seasons in, mate, it's seamless. Do you know what I mean? So it's good
what we're missing, like me and Ryan spoke about this in the previous stream. Like, obviously Nunes is always up here, isn't he? Like, but he doesn't come over here. When Firmino was there, he used to plug the gaps. You know what I mean? Intercept the ball, going here and here, and then pass it back, and then we go on the counter attack. We haven't got that anymore. So, if Nunes eventually settles in, he needs to be doing that when he hasn't got the ball. Off the ball work. That's what I miss, guys. Like, I don't know what you guys think about that. It's the off the ball as a unit that I miss, and it used to start from the front man, and that's what we need. So it doesn't go to the defense and then they get a goal eventually. You know what I mean? Because every single game is a carbon copy of the previous one. Team attacks, they get a goal, and then we have to open up. They get another one. You know what I mean? So if we can plug these gaps here, and the front man does that, I think we'll be all right, man. And like Harley said, if the personnel comes back, and we've got Jota can do that, We've got Firmino that can do that, and I mean, and maybe we could win more games than we actually drawing and losing right now. If you know what I mean, guys.
Fozzy, you say that,
Absolutely.
but you would think by now, whoever's our striker would be doing that. So it has to be an instruction, or it has to be the way they've been told to do it. Because even like we've all played football, there are certain times where the players on the pitch have to just control the game and just manage 5-10 minutes. But you barely see that. You don't see ever us adapting or changing how we play just for a phase of the game. It's either
our game management's gone out the window this season.
It's gone, man. It's all over the place.
We don't know when to slow the game down. We don't know when to just slow the clock down anymore. That has gone from our game, and that for me, I don't know if that's from the touchline of the players as well. There's some times where the players have to take control and the manager has to stand there and be like, listen, but I haven't seen that from Klopp yet. Actually, I've seen Robertson and I've seen Hendo, say, what are you doing? We saw Milner at Old Trafford at Van Dijk, but I've not seen it from Klopp yet. I don't know.
Who'd have thought that Milner outburst at Van Dijk would have like proceeded, like the season that we've had has proceeded to happen. Like, you never saw Liverpool players get tetchy at each other like that. You saw them argue. You saw them argue because the winners, and if Virgil van Dijk says to you, tuck in, you tuck in. Same way if Jordan Henderson tells you to go and press, you press. But we've never seen them full-blown argue. And it was only the third game into the season, and you're seeing like this. You're seeing one of the senior players against the other senior player be like, you're not fucking good enough. And then all of a sudden, we've had the season that we've had. Maybe I don't know. Maybe players felt like it was coming. Who knows?
Even in the last game, I don't know if you saw, mate, but Trent having a go at Endo.
He told him fuck off. Yeah, he told him fuck off. Like, they're closest mates. Henderson is like his pure mentor. That's like us saying to our mentor at work, if he turns around and goes, "Yeah, mate, pick those boxes up over there," and just going, "Fuck off." Like it doesn't happen unless something is wrong or tensions are high, does it? So for Trent to turn around to someone who he sees as such a big brother and an inspirational figure to go, "The fuck are you on about, lad?"
It is a very high tension situation.
He's the captain. You're telling the captain, fuck off.
Yeah.
I mean, it's mad.
It's a very high tension situation that they're in, though, to be fair, with everything that's going on. And that's football sometimes. Look, I've been in dressing rooms where there's been little arguments and little, people kind of having a little go with each other, or you'll shout, fuck off across the pitch. Sometimes it can be something deeper, but sometimes that's just what happens on a pitch, But it's what happens with people who want to win football games and want to succeed.
But the thing is, Harley, it's out of their character, innit? They've been playing with each other for how long now? You know what I mean?
That's true, but it's very out of our character to go on this run of form.
The whole season's out of our character, man.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. I think Sorry, Foz. I was just going to say. I think the Trent and Hendo situation, like you say, is just a simple case of like you said, you're shouting across the pitch. So it's just
it's nothing more than that.
Well, look at Fabinho and Klopp as well. Yeah, you saw
stuff like that, and to see James Milner get up and physically go into Virgil's face and be like, "Listen, like, look, you've not done fucking good enough here." That was mad. That well, obviously Sky made a big thing about it, didn't they? So.
Of course they will.
Yeah, that's true, man. Well, we're going to be closing up the show, guys. Obviously, it's been great, man. I've really enjoyed this. How much time does Klopp need to fix this, guys? Because, there's a lot of Klopps out, you know what I mean? So,
I think,
Ryan, you can start off.
Yeah, I don't mind starting, because for me, I've said in the spaces over the past couple of days and stuff like that, Klopp needs investment or new owners before we start judging him properly. If you get a Redbird style investment tomorrow, and he gets 150 to 200 million to spend over the next two windows, spends it, and then we continue on the decline.
Yeah,
right. We now have more things to point our finger at. If we're going off the basis of this frustration in transfer windows when he's clearly not got a penny to spend, I feel like it's harsh, to say, "Oh no, mate, you've got this transfer window and that's it."
Yeah. I think one of the. I'm not Klopp out. I won't be. But I have said to a couple of friends, if if it's revealed somehow, because you know how journalists sometimes are, or they find out random
One second
information.
to wrap. People, you can see down below Anton's formation. Yeah, just to, like this is
Oh,
what he
yeah.
has to do. 4, 2, 3, 1. So that's
Yeah,
his
yeah,
formation.
yeah.
But carry on, to wrap. Carry on though. I was just keep
Fav and Thiago. Okay, fair enough.
Oh, Simicast and then
Simicast left wing will never happen, unfortunately. We're
Salah
just
front
not.
of him. Okay.
Ramsey right mid.
But go on to wrap.
It's just, yeah, I won't be Klopp out, but if it's like somehow revealed, or someone like David Ornstein or someone just gets a big scoop and it's revealed that Klopp is in fact the one who's saying, I'm happy with my squad, and the FSG are saying here's 200 million and he's denying it, which, let's be honest, I don't think is true. But if that was revealed, then I'm Klopp out. Like, that's the only reason. But obviously Klopp is saying,
you heard him today though. You heard him today, what he said.
Yeah, exactly. So that gave me the clarity for sure.
That's all we needed.
Exactly. But with Klopp, yeah, I can't be Klopp out. But one thing, people need to be careful of holding someone in such high regard, because that doesn't mean they're immune from criticism. I will always criticize Klopp if I think he's doing something stupid or if he's made a bad decision, but that doesn't mean I'm out. There's a fine line between that, and I'd like to think I'm on that side, but social media and it's just, guys, one thing I will say, just be careful who you follow, because sometimes you just read tweets and it just it doesn't help you. So just forget Twitter, forget social media, just speak to like-minded people, watch the game with your own two eyes, and just make it.
Spot on, brother. Go on, Harley. Go take it away.
I was just about to respond to what you've just said there, and just say I know people who otherwise, like, decent lads, and you'll see them come out with stuff on social media and think, or you'll just talk to them about the footy and just go, you spend too much time on Twitter, you spend too much time following. I don't want to name drop anyone, but certain content posters on Twitter who are just constantly negative and constantly having a go and at the players, at the manager, at everything. You know what I'm just thinking? I get what
hey, listen, John O'Sullivan's a good guy, H.
I'm saying absolutely nothing about LFC Laurie, mate.
When people are tweeting first thing in the morning, I've just woken up and I can't stop it. Shut up.
Christmas morning. Go and spend time with your kids. He's there tweeting.
Hey.
FSGO. Do you know what I mean?
He clearly bleeds for this club. You lot don't. Look how committed he is.
The kids open the prezzies, lad. Do you know what I mean? There's more to life than just John Henry's a shit house. But that's what I mean. That's just see certain lads, like, again, I'm not going to name any of my mates, but I have a couple of mates who would just think you need to get off Twitter and just do a bit of your own thinking instead of just copying John O'Sullivan's opinion. Do you know what I mean? Because I know you're not an idiot. I'm not saying John O'Sullivan's an idiot, but he comes out with some things and I just think, do you ever have any positive thoughts? Do you know what I mean? And I'm not trying to slag him off or personally attack him. I'm just saying I don't agree with a lot of what he comes out with, and I think a lot of people on Twitter, this is a personal attack to no one, but people are just too harsh and need to try and look at the positives of things a little bit more.
I think people like that, unfortunately for themselves, they get consumed by their own thing that they're pushing. Do you know what I mean? Like, he clearly wants to push FSG out because he feels like it's for the benefit of the club, benefit of the fans, whatever. But because he's done it for so long now, he's been consumed by his own motive. He's not got that ability to detach from it. We obviously want to support all our YouTubes, and you guys will have things in your life that you want to support, but you'll understand that there's times where you have to detach from it or else you'll get consumed by it. People like LFC Laurie, people like John, it feels like they don't have that detachment. It is literally, it's up here when they go to sleep, when they're eating breakfast, when it's the kid's birthday, when they're having a wank. It's fucking up here all the time.
He's just sat there. He's just sat there with an naughty video.
Fucking John W again, you bastard!
Oh, FSG out!
It's crazy.
Oh, Pep Linders, you bastard!
Intensity.
Oh, this is so
intense.
Yeah.
No, but
just doing it into the pages of the book.
No, but onto the question, if you don't mind me just kind of shifting this back over to the original question, which I'm sure you won't. With how much time do we give Klopp? For me, Klopp isn't the problem, and you can maybe accuse me of being Jurgen Klopp, I love and I trust that man with all of my heart. And there's no manager in world football better for me, and there's no manager I trust more to turn things around. For me, like, you can accuse me of looking up to him like a kind of almost like a cult, but for me,
no.
If you look at the history of Liverpool, Fozzie, you'll know this. And if anyone has a great knowledge of the history of Liverpool, which I'm sure you do, or maybe your family members, older family members who follow the club, they'll tell you the stories of Bill Shankly, Bob Paisley, Joe Fagan. In our lifetimes, you're looking at Julia, you're looking at Benitez and Klopp. How well respected are managers, and the culture of the manager is the man. It's not. Yeah. I think with modern football, you're look at Chelsea. They love getting rid of their managers. United, they blame things on their manager, but with Liverpool, the manager is the key.
It's when the man connects to the people, man. That's what
exactly.
It is.
Bill Shankly, he made the people happy.
Well, what you guys need to understand, like in regards to managers, how many managers did we go through to get to this one? To get to the right one. You know what I mean, down the years, it took us a long time.
Brendan Rodgers was the right guy for the right time. Kenny Dalglish was the right guy for the right time. Yeah. Roy Hodgson was fucking useless and still gives me post-traumatic stress disorders to this day. The fucking Albion twat.
Everybody, bro.
But no, I'm going to move on from that because the days of watching Christian Pulisic in midfield make me want to pull my teeth out. But yeah, no, listen. For me, I just trust Klopp so much. Look where he's took us from and look to where he's took us to. Do you know what I mean? And the way he's done that. If we have stagnated as a club, he will get us back up there within the next 5 years.
The thing is, Harley, what angers me the most, like he doesn't have to be here anymore, guys. In 2024, he could have just walked away, but everybody wanted him to stay.
Pep Linders is groomed for this job.
Yeah, guys. I mean, everybody wanted him to stay, so he signed a new contract to stay longer. So, like, make up your mind what you want. Just because, like, 4 or 5 months of bad results, it doesn't mean it's the end, man. Like, every team has to rebuild. Ferguson was been at Man United 28 years. He's won 13 titles, so he must have missed a few along the way when he winning the 13 titles. You know what I mean? So everybody has to rebuild, guys. I remember when Ferguson was losing with those kids he had, and Alan Hansen said, like, you can't win anything with kids. What happened? Those kids won the league eventually, and they rewrite history. So with Klopp, listen, we haven't seen him rebuild, but he's got to be given the time, innit, guys? Like,
he's got to get there. He's going to get there, and I think he's looking to bring in some players. I think people with patience and with time, we will see that. Obviously, Bellingham is his main target. Look at the age profile of some of the players.
It's gone down now immensely.
19, Bellingham. Yeah. The players were linked with Kone Doran. Look at some of the players coming through. Ben Doak, Harvey Elliott. This is a controversial one, but I believe Curtis Jones has a big part to play for us going forward. We have the young players there. It's just bridging that gap now. And I think we will bring some players in to bridge that gap a little bit. But Klopp will build us back up. And I trust that man to the point where we could be in the relegation zone. We could get relegated. I wouldn't want Klopp to leave. That's how much I trust him. And maybe it's blind faith and maybe it's love, but I have never connected so much to a man who's been involved with Liverpool Football Club like this. I absolutely adore him. I trust him. And he's took us to such great heights that I will continue to trust him no matter what people say.
He's the Shankly of our era, isn't he?
Of course,
absolutely.
20 to 30-year-olds, you know, and he is the Shankly of our era. I won't call him the Faisler.
The worst thing we could possibly do for our club is sack Jurgen Klopp. Because who do we replace him with? Do we give Pep Linders it permanently? I think Linders, for me, this is another controversial one. I wouldn't mind him taking over from Klopp after he's done. But for now, what do we do? Do we go out and try and find a better manager than Klopp? We aren't getting that.
There ain't no better manager.
I think ultimately as well, if you do sack him, you don't want to happen what happened with Bill happen to Klopp. You know, obviously the relationship when it ended with Bill Shankly and Liverpool, it ended up being a sour one in the end after him hanging around and then basically after telling him to, you know, fuck off. You don't want that. You don't want that to happen to Klopp. And you know, like you say, you're completely right, H. Like, Jesus Christ, if we sat Jurgen Klopp, the only available manager of any kind of caliber is Pochettino. And we all know we don't want Pochettino.
Nope. And you could say Zidane, you could say is it Enrique, but the thing is, like, what makes club successful? Long-term managers, right? So
Yeah.
this is what we got.
He's patient. He's
Yeah,
patient. And
patience, mate.
I think other people in the fan base, and I know this isn't very football Twitter-esque, but for once, people need to have a little bit of patience, because I remember when he first came in, there were a lot of people saying, well, what's he really doing? We've just finished 8th in the first half of the season. Fucking, he's not good enough. And then since every full season he's got us top 4. And that for me is why I think he's going to do it again, because I am the most, if anyone who knows me knows, I'm the most optimistic Liverpool fan going. Delusional scouser and all that, call me what you want, but no, I think even that Phillips and Reece Williams, I was looking at that thinking, fucking hell, we aren't getting top 4 here, losing 6 home games in a row, but we did it, and that's why I trust the squad to pull through, and I trust
you just got to be careful what you wish for, innit? Like everybody, I remember like majority of the fan base wanted Wijnaldum to go because of the wage demands and all this stuff he was asking for, etc.
I was happy to let him walk,
and but the same fans, apart from you probably, are the ones who are crying for him back now. You know what I mean? They're saying, we need Gini back in that middle. You know what I mean?
I was happy to let him walk because of the wage demands and things like that. But I was thinking, if we let him go, we have to replace him, which we
he's still got
with the same caliber player.
I was thinking, given his age, his wage demands, I was thinking the output you're getting from him is decreasing, his wage demands are increasing. It doesn't take a data analyst to turn around and go, maybe we should look to be moving on from this guy.
Yeah,
but and I love Wijnaldum. I absolutely love him and appreciate everything he's done for the club. I don't think it's Wijnaldum we're missing per se. It's a player of Wijnaldum's profile that we can
availability.
Replace.
The availability,
availability, consistency, work rate, and just this profile of players. We say a box to box who can win the ball back, consistently play. When again, Caicedo is a very similar profile. Whether he is someone we can get is a whole other conversation.
It's all about negotiations, isn't it? If we've got the best negotiators, they could actually pull that transfer over the line, innit? But if they're asking for like ridiculous amount of money, you know, FSG, they're not going to spend, man, unless we've got new ownerships. You know what I mean? But I'm going to wrap it up, guys. Yeah, I'm going to wrap it up, guys. You asked me about the Joe Gomez thing this morning. I swear, I'm not joking. I saw Fabrizio Romano saying Wolverhampton have bid 17 million for Joe Gomez, and it could be accepted. That's what I've seen. But I haven't seen that. I look back. I think he's taking it down because I don't see it.
I wouldn't take that money for him personally.
No,
I wouldn't. 17 million. 17. That's for me. That's nothing these days. And all we'd be doing in that situation,
especially with his injury record and availability,
all we'd be doing is leaving ourselves a player short, because all we need to do then is Konate or Matip feel his hamstring, and then we're starting that Phillips every week.
Yeah.
For me, if we find ourselves in a situation where we can replace Gomez and then sell him, given the time on his contract, fine. But maybe we consider it. But for me, obviously, we've been Milan Skriniar is a player who's going to be out of contract in the summer. If we get him in on a free, then I'd be like, okay, maybe we can afford to sell Gomez. But no, for me, I don't think so. Lads. I don't think it's 17 million's worth it, unless the only circumstance I think that would be acceptable in is if we're 17 million away from being guaranteed to bring in a top midfielder like a Caicedo.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't want to sell him, because again, we'd be in another scenario then where we need another centre back.
What about you, Ryan? Would you get rid of him for that much?
I completely agree with H. I think if you have the capabilities of getting some money for him and you can replace him with a better standard, then obviously it's a no-brainer, isn't it? But right now and I think this club have proven as well this season that you never, ever, ever trust anything they say about injuries. So as far as Virgil van Dijk coming back for the Real Madrid game, I'm taking that as like Virgil van Dijk is back for the Real Madrid game. If we manage to play them next season in the Champions League, you know, I do not trust this club at the moment when they comment on injuries. So yeah, like H says, you sell Joe Gomez, all of a sudden you're looking at a Konate injury or a Joel Matip injury away from Nat Phillips coming in, and I like Nat Phillips. I think he's sound, but I think Joe Gomez, if we're going to be honest, is probably just that tiny bit better. However, come the summer, and I said it in one of my videos I did on Boxing Day on my YouTube, Joe Gomez is one of those players I would be looking at replacing in the summer if you can get one in, one out kind of thing.
The good thing about Gomez for me as well is he can cover that right back position, especially with Calvin Ramsey.
Exactly.
Calvin Ramsey's injury record at the minute he's kind of struggling with it a little bit. He's had growth problems and things like that. I watch Calvin Ramsey for Aberdeen because I do follow the Scottish League a bit, and I was impressed by him whenever I watched him.
Oh, he's a baller, yeah, he is.
I was very impressed by him, but I think we just need to keep Gomez around for the cover at right back. And I think, look how fantastic he was when he was playing next to Van Dijk in that title-winning season. Maybe it's the optimist in me, but maybe we can get him back to that level. And another key factor for me is the homegrown.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I'd be looking at moving on. If I was to move on any homegrown player, it'd probably be Nat Phillips, who we are looking at moving on anyway, probably.
Yeah.
But to move on Phillips and Gomez, you're looking at another English player over 21 we'd need to bring in then.
Yeah, I suppose so, yeah.
So that's a downside for me, personally.
No worries. Ryan?
Just obviously anyone who's watching, thanks for watching, guys. It's been another good show. It's been good to do it as well with loads of people involved. Met some new guys today, and it's been really nice. Just make sure you subscribe and stick around because it's going to be coming thick and fast. Me, Fozzie, and H especially have got loads of things planned together that I would personally recommend you don't miss out on. So. Yeah, just the same as always, guys. Keep supporting us. Thank you for the love.
All right, people. Thank you for coming on today. Appreciate that immensely. We're going to obviously be doing another show on Sunday. We're going to have more people on that one as well. And I'm going to be doing watch along tomorrow as well. So please tune in around, 2:45. I'll be there 2:45 doing my usual watch alongs. We're going to hopefully enjoy it together as well. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. If you haven't subscribed to these guys, please do so. You saw them today. Their opinions always count on this channel, so please do that for us. And the usual. I'll see you soon. Take care, everybody.